Welcome, people of the internet, to the Christmas episode of Cheap Shot News. I'm Zach, and you might be wondering, why is this a Christmas episode? Well, really, the big reasons are I'm wearing my Christmas cat hat, and courtesy of Mike Gibson, my roommate, he got me a Skyrim Christmas sweater. So thank you very much, Mike. Other than that, what makes it Christmassy? Absolutely nothing. We're not going to talk specifically about any Christmas stuff, I guess, in regards to movie and television news. So let's just jump into it then, won't we? So, first thing on my list, it was kind of like just not a very newsy week in regards to like movie and television news. So I dug a little bit, and it looks like Fox is maybe looking into, possibly strongly looking into, a New Mutants franchise. So anybody who really follows superhero movies and everything like that probably knows at this point in time, Fox is kind of winding down in regards to the X-Men. We don't have any further X-Men movies coming out in the future other than the Logan movie, which is coming out early next year. But outside of that, the trilogy of First Class has ended now. They're not doing any further X-Men movies from way back when. So we have the Logan movie, and then we have Deadpool 2 is in pre-production right now. But other than that, there's not much happening. So this is a weird transition time for Fox, and they're trying to kind of find a way of how can we continue on in this money maker, because they don't really have anything to rely on right now. Well, from what I hear is a trilogy of New Mutants is strongly being considered. It's not even in pre-production right now. It's still in kind of the discussion phase. And even though you can see it at like IMDb, and Maisie Williams of Game of Thrones is potentially on board as Wolfsbane, nothing's really been set in stone at this point in time. So I find this very interesting because this could potentially spawn tons of different stuff. So a New Mutants trilogy. So New Mutants was something that they kind of spun off the original X-Men. So I mean, it works in this fashion as well. Of you had the main characters like Wolverine, Cyclops, Storm, all those characters. But then after kind of those characters, had been going for several years, they brought in a bunch of these new younger students and things like that to become the New Mutants. So lesser known characters, Wolfsbane, like I mentioned, Warpath is one of them, which we've seen. The fun thing is characters like Deadpool were actually first made their appearance as New Mutants, and then New Mutants kind of spun off into X-Force. So Wolverine led X-Force, and X-Force was more of a militant group of mutants. So I mean, this could go in a lot of different directions. So that's what's really exciting about it. They're in talks of doing potentially a trilogy and different things like that. But you can see, how this could connect with Deadpool later on in an X-Force movie or different things like that. So very exciting. Earliest release that I've heard is sometime in 2018. So not too terribly far off, but they're really not even in pre-production at this point in time. So next topic is Disney hit a milestone. Because of course they did. They're Disney. They were the first studio to ever reach $7 billion in global box office. That is, what's a better word than ridiculous to describe something ridiculous? I can't think of any. We're going to go with ridiculous. Seriously, though, how crazy is that? $7 billion at the global box office. And then you think about all that Disney has in the rights that they hold. They held Marvel and Star Wars, and not to mention that their Disney original movies and Disney Pixar movies are ridiculously good as well. So just to name off a few in case you can't remember what happened this year. By the way, 3 of the movies that they released this year touched $1 billion globally just by themselves. That's including Civil War and Finding Dory. And the other one might have been Zootopia. I can't remember. But those are 3 of the movies. And then you put in Jungle Book. And then you put in Doctor Strange. And then you put in Rogue One, which it hasn't even reached a week since its release. So So, and this article was written again like 3 days into the release of Rogue One, which the first weekend's gonna be always very big. But this coming weekend could also be very huge for Rogue One. Christmas weekend's always a big movie weekend, and I plan on probably seeing at least one movie this weekend myself. So, like I said, is anyone surprised by this? I would like to see the numbers of what the next biggest studio is. If it's Universal or Warner Brothers, I have a hard time believing it'd be like Fox or Paramount right now. But I know Universal last year was in second place with Jurassic World and Fast and the Furious and stuff like that. But are you kidding me? Just Marvel and Star Wars alone would be ridiculous. Add to the fact of you naturally make great animated and children's movies that, thank you so much, are made for adults as well. Because I really appreciate some good animated and heartfelt movies. So, in the realm of stuff that actually was released this week and for some new news, I guess. Not really news, but trailers. Everybody likes trailers. I probably like them a little too much. Two big trailer releases, as far as I know, this week. One was Blade Runner. And if you're not familiar with Blade Runner, it probably means you were born in the mid-90s or later. So, Blade Runner, Harrison Ford movie, Ridley Scott back in the day. Great sci-fi neo-noir. It's a classic. Wasn't, as far as I know, super well loved at the time, but a lot of those neo-noir sci-fi movies typically weren't. It became a cult classic. It had a cult following. It's been a really long time since I've seen it, but I'm really excited for Blade Runner. What is it, 2049? I believe that's what it is now. You know, we're 30 years into the future now, and Decker's been missing. Is it Decker or Deckard? Either way, Harrison Ford's character has been missing for like 30 years after he was a Blade Runner. And if you're not familiar with the plot, I Wikipedia'd it just to get some further details than I probably could remember. And you can do that as well, but I'll just give you some details. Basically, in the future, we have this technology to make what we call replicants, which are basically, if you're familiar with Westworld, pretty much hosts from Westworld. Except instead of entertaining us, they do menial tasks, and they're actually not legal on Earth. So these are completely pretty much indistinguishable from actual humans, adult humans. So they're not legal on Earth, but some of them kind of like defect and come back to Earth, and the Blade Runners are pretty much cops that are tasked to hunting them down and retiring them or killing them, basically. Retiring is killing. So in the new movie, apparently Ryan Gosling's the main character. He's a new Blade Runner, 30 years into the future, 40 years into the future. Yeah, my math is right. And he's tasked with some different things that kind of come up, and there's this big conspiracy, because of course there is, and he's got to go find Deckard, Harrison Ford's character, to help him out. And I mean, there's a lot of reasons to be excited about it. One, just because there really isn't a lot of great sci-fi out right now. So, I mean, there's some good sci-fi television in Westworld, and I've heard The Expanse is really good. I haven't seen it, but I would like to. But nothing spectacular out. I mean, I liked Arrival recently came out, and that's another reason why I'm excited about this. I love good sci-fi, good action. That's always going to be good. And then you put in the fact that Ryan Gosling, Harrison Ford, Robin Wright, Dave Bautista, and Jared Leto are going to be in this movie. That's always a bonus. My biggest thing is the director who directed Arrival, Denis Villeneuve, is directing this. And I was pleasantly surprised, to say the least, by Arrival. I'll actually post a link to my review below as well on that. It's an incredibly good movie from all aspects of film, to composition, to directing and photography, to acting, and just all around extremely well done. He also did Sicario, which is also an extremely well done movie. So I'm excited for this, of giving him kind of a bigger scope in this sci-fi movie and see kind of what he does with it. So I'm really excited about that. And then we have maybe the most badass original character we've seen in the last decade, John Wick Chapter 2 is coming out next year. And if you're not familiar with John Wick, you really should be, especially if you're any kind of action aficionado nerd, or you just appreciate kind of a mind numbing, don't really have to think old school action film, because that's what John Wick is. It's Keanu Reeves, and honestly, yes, Keanu is not a great actor, but it doesn't matter. He plays this role so well. It's got good gunplay in it as well, if you're a fan of that. They keep, in the first movie, they kept really close attention to how a person actually would use a gun in real life. And instead of just spraying bullets all over the place, it's very methodical. It's quick, but very methodical using of a gun. And they also kept track of like bullet count, which I really appreciate when they do stuff like that. Not like an old Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where he fires a machine gun for 3 minutes straight, even though, it's got like a 40 mag or 20 mag clip. Anyways, super good. Again, both trailers for Blade Runner and John Wick will be linked below, but you got to watch the John Wick trailer because you'll automatically be able to determine whether this is a movie for you or not. I think if you're watching me, it's probably a movie for you, but it's just an awesome movie. At one point, one was an awesome movie. It looks like two's going to be equally as awesome, but we'll yet to see that. At one point in the trailer, he gets a Killtacular. For those who don't know, that's a Halo reference. And just offing people left and right in some just awesome action. It looks like it's going to be super good. I'm really excited about it. So yeah, if you like violence, if you like action, it's probably going to be a movie for you. And then, on a lighter note, let's talk about some television for you sitcom fans out there. Let's see here. Basically, what I wanted to get at is How I Met Your Mother. It's been off the air for about 3 to 4 years now, and it looks like they're going to start producing the producers of This Is Us, or the showrunners for This Is Us, or somebody related to This Is Us, is a new, I think that's on NBC or CBS. I'm not sure. Anyways, it's a new kind of, it's a new show. And they're looking at potentially doing a spinoff of How I Met Your Mother, How I Met Your Father. Now, if this seems familiar to you, it's because when the show ended, when How I Met Your Mother ended, this was something that they were going to do. They were going to possibly just basically start it up very quickly again. How I Met Your Father. It wasn't going to be interconnected, but it was going to have the same kind of concept. Same thing now. CBS didn't pick up the pilot for that, but they're rewriting it and potentially going to do this again. Now, How I Met Your Mother is one of my favorite sitcoms. It's something that I have watched through several times and really enjoy. And that gives me some hope, but a lot of reservation. Typically, spinoffs do not do that well. And I think because of how much I loved How I Met Your Mother and where my expectations are, it's just not going to be able to meet that expectation in the character meshing of How I Met Your Mother did with Marshall and Lily and Ted and Barney and Robin, and how they went so well together. I'm going to expect that out of this show as well. And I mean, you could take a different tone with it. Maybe it's a little more serious, not quite as funny. I think basically anytime you put anything on television, it's got to have a little humor to it. But this could maybe, have a little more, I don't want to say stern, but just a more serious tone of actual real life, more dramatic to it. But I don't know. I mean, the people who are doing This Is Us, apparently that's done pretty well. So that's good, but reservations, but excitement. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think it has a chance? Do you think it's just gonna completely flop? It's probably something we won't see, or if we do see, we'll only see like one season or a handful of episodes. I'd like to hear what you think. And then finally, to wrap up the show, this isn't really newsworthy. It's mostly just Netflix. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. It's such a great value. I mean, I have the 4-person account. It's like $12 a month. No big deal. That's like eating out at McDonald's twice. So which I need to stop doing anyway. So there you go. Basically, if you're on Netflix at all, you've probably noticed Netflix originals. What you may not have noticed is how many Netflix originals there are. Seriously, guys, there are so many Netflix originals now. At one point, Netflix actually popped up on my screen of like, hey, we've released like 83 originals in the last 2 weeks. That is too many originals. So what I want to state and then what I want to ask is like, how do you get through all of these? And which ones are good? Because I do not have the time or the interest to watch through 83 different shows, movies, documentaries, etc. Now, you can always go to like things like IMDb, but as much as I love IMDb for informational reasons, I don't really trust it in regards to actually giving me options for what to watch. Unless it's like sitting at like an 8, 9, or 10, I'm probably going to push it aside. Now, there's the big releases that everybody knows about. Stranger Things, amazing. The Marvel shows, very good. Specifically, Daredevil is great. But both Jessica Jones and Luke Cage were solid shows. Orange is the New Black, I watched a couple of seasons. Good, not really for me. Same with like House of Cards and stuff like that. But then you have just a ridiculous amount of other shows that really had no clue were coming out, such as the OA. I think that's how you say it. It's not OA. I think it's the OA. Crazy Head, Chewing Gum. There's the cartoon adult one that looks like a knockoff of Archer, and all these different things. And I mean, there's stuff like Black Mirror, which kind of hovers somewhere in the middle, and then there's movies, and they got like 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8. I don't even know how many different movies now. So I feel like they're just kind of throwing stuff at the wall until they can actually, find something that works well for them. And then continue to put out season after season of those kind of things. But for the moment, it's really hard to sort through. And I wonder, like, what have you guys watched? What have you guys seen that you think is good, that you think is worthwhile? Let me know in the comments. For those of you who comment, I definitely would like to get people's opinions on kind of what they're watching recently. So anyways, that's how I'm gonna wrap up. Really thank you for coming out and joining me on my Christmas special that wasn't very Christmassy at all, but I'm wearing a cat hat and a sweater, so it was fun. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe below. Watch our other videos as well. We got a lot of stuff out. And then you can always check out our website at cheapshotcinema.com for other written and video content. And then you can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook at cheapshotcinema. So thanks again, guys, and you have a great evening and have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Bye.